Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our November 5th, 2025 Parent and Community Advisory Council meeting. I'm excited. I apologize that we were not able to meet in October due to a scheduled holiday that was on the PGCPS calendar, but here we are, so welcome back. At this time, I want to call the meeting to order. The time is 7:03 p.m. And Ms. Smith, if you can do roll call.
I need to pull up the.
I'm sorry, not Ms. Smith. Where's
Okay.
Ms. Lawrence? Where's Akimbra? Is she here? Ms. Lawrence.
Yes, Ms. Lawrence is here.
Ms. Lawrence, we can't hear you. Are you? Are you having difficulties? No? Okay, well, I'll do roll call. I'll do roll call. Dolores Millhouse, here. Teresa Smith,
Oh my God. Sorry, present.
Akimbra Lawrence. No, she's here.
She just logged back in.
Akimbra, we still can't hear you. But we see that you're present, but all other members of the council, you need to provide a verbal. Dr. Sheila Jackson,
Present.
Robin Welsh,
Present.
James Williams,
Present.
Trayvon Suki, Reverend Dr. Evelina Huggins, Carletta Lundy,
Present.
Will Bronson,
Present.
Gracia Hureta,
Present.
Kamika Harris,
Present.
Christopher Smith, Yasaida Hinton,
Present.
Candace Parker,
Candace Perkins, present.
Perkins. Candace, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
For some reason, it's Parker on this agenda. So we need to make that. And so at this time, we do have a quorum. So welcome everyone to our November 5th, 2025 PCAC meeting. And at this time, we'll move into item 3, adoption of the agenda for today's meeting. At this time, we'll go into vote for it. Can I get a motion that we will adopt the
So
agenda?
move. Carletta Lundy.
I just wanted to say before we do that, I'm on a different audio now, so I can thank you for doing that. I'm on 2 different devices, but I can hear now. So hopefully you all can hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
you. So moved by Carletta Lundy. Chair Millhouse.
I second.
Is there any opposition? Hearing none. The adoption of the agenda has been moved. We're moving on to item number 4, the approval of the September 2nd, 2025 meeting minutes. Can I get a vote and motion to approve the September 2nd, 2025 meeting minutes?
Dr. Jackson, I move that the minutes of the September meeting be approved.
Need someone to
I
second?
second.
Thank you. If there are any oppositions? Hearing none, the September 2nd, 2025 meeting minutes have been approved. We will now just do a quick welcome. I want to thank our board member liaison, Board Member Walker, for being here tonight. I want to thank, and she represents District 9. Is she here? Did she leave?
I'm here. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, I can't see everyone on my screen. I want to also thank Board Member Brown for District 5 representative for being present, and also our board support. Ms. Barton, you have your hand up?
I do. Board Member Amy Olivo from District 4. She is an attendee. Can I bring her over as a panelist?
Sure, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And Director Adeline, thank you for being here. Board Member Amy Olivo, District 4, welcome. And I want to say that we're being honored tonight to have additional board member representatives, because we do have some discussions around policies, and they may be able to lend some further insight as Robin reports out on those. So at this time, I want to thank you all for being here. We'll move into the report of the PCAC chair. The leadership and we've been meeting over the past couple of weeks, just trying to establish how we ensure that the council is in a position to meet with the board and the superintendent, to identify ways for us to engage with each other outside of our monthly meetings, because we are under OMA. So we have to be very careful and adhere to the guidelines, so we're not in a position that we have a quorum when we are meeting. I know at the last meeting, we talked about some subgroups that came from the transportation as well as special education. I know the 2 individuals for special education were Ms. Smith and Ms. Harris. I'm not sure if you all were able to get together yet. And then we had 1 individual for transportation. And so we are still, not really moving in that area yet, but it's okay, because we are also waiting to determine what it will look like, as it states in policy 1500, how will we move forward with our quarterly meetings. I want to thank Board Member Walker, our liaison, for engaging in a very robust discussion on our behalf to move forward with a point of understanding as it relates to what a quarterly meeting needs to look like. We were asked to present quarterly, which the PCAC leadership has declined, because we have not met as a council with the Board of Education. So at this point, we don't have anything to report out on in a quarterly matter. And so we are still hopeful that we will be meeting with the board as a whole and the superintendent quarterly, as it is outlined in policy 1500. Ms. Smith, Ms. Lawrence, did I miss anything in regards to that?
I think that you pretty much covered it all.
Okay, I would like Ms. Smith to just add, in during this report period, she and Miss Lawrence are representing PCAC on the calendar committee. And the calendar committee has met 3 times, I think, thus far, 2 or 3 times. And a survey is coming out in a couple of days for the community to vote on. But Ms. Smith, if you can just add, your experience at what you've been doing with the committee over the past couple of weeks.
Sure. So, yes, we have actually been meeting weekly. We did not meet today, and we have been planning for this upcoming school year and the next one. From my understanding, this is how most school districts establish their calendars. They do 2 calendar years at one time. Two big items is surrounded around the Christmas holiday break. I think lately we've had nearly 2 weeks. But moving into the 27-28 school year, that may be unlikely. And then another item is dealing around parent-teacher conferences. I think last school year there was only 1 on the calendar. So we're trying to determine, how best to still get conferences in for families. And Akimbra, am I missing anything?
I don't think so. I think Chair Millhouse mentioned that this week the calendars will be shared with the public along with the feedback survey. And that'll include the options for 26, 27, 27, 28. But I think that's all that has been mentioned. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else. I don't think there's really anything else. I think you covered it all, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Akimbra. Actually, let me pause. Ms. Millhouse, I have a question.
Well, let me just give a little context about the parent-teacher conferences. It did change last year that it went back to having 1 on the calendar, but there is a note that goes along with that adjustment, that based on the student handbook, parents can request a meeting with the teacher at any point throughout the year. And so those parent-teacher conferences does give the school system a better opportunity to kind of maybe group all the teachers in the session at the same time. But if a parent needs to meet with the teacher at any given time, there is no stipulation, and you do not just have to wait until there's a parent-teacher conference. Ms. Smith, what's the question that you have?
It's actually surrounded that. I was wondering, Dr. Jackson, is there any data available as it relates to the effectiveness of the parent-teacher conferences as well as barriers? Because it appears, at least from what I'm hearing in the discussions, that there are concerns for the parents that really need to be reached. They have not. So I'm just kind of wondering, is there any data surrounding what the barriers may be, and then in addition to the effectiveness of having these conferences?
I can definitely look into it for our district. I don't keep that data, but I'm pretty sure our chief of schools does, because that is one of the measuring tools for evaluating staff. So I'm sure that there is some data that can be found, but I will ask Dr. Merrill about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just the last update is we're part of the community schools advisory board as PCAC as a whole. In our last meeting that we had, Ms. Smith and I had a meeting with Dr. Williams Horton, to get a better understanding of the role for PCAC on this council. And what I walked away from the discussion, and Ms. Smith, make sure I'm not leaving anything on the table, it really is to make sure that our voices are heard from the parent perspective as well as community members, because there are a lot of community members that are on the advisory council, but we are able to add other voices from PCAC to that council to talk about how we make sure that the wraparound services are available to the community schools, and how are we reaching the parents, making sure that they are aware of these services, and that they understand how best to utilize them for what they need. And so we are looking for, especially our community partners, to identify if this would be of interest of you. We will send some information out because it was a bit of a misunderstanding of what exactly we're doing as PCAC on this group. We will be providing them with the presentation because they're asking all the members, and I think Dr. Jackson, your office will be presenting something as well, but everyone on the advisory group for the community schools is asked to present what they offer, what they are providing as a council. So we will be sending out information to get feedback from everybody about your skill set, your expertise. What can you do to support the work with community schools? Any questions? Comments? That concludes the report of the chair, but I want to utilize some of this time. Board Member Walker, do you have anything to provide from a liaison perspective? Do you want to share on my time?
Oh, thank you so much. I do recognize that we have not yet met as a board. It is a priority for me. I did respond to the chair who's been out of the country. He is back now, so I am anticipating a response so that we can be in compliance. I know you mentioned that as your first bullet. I'll listen in to see if there's any additional input that I can add. I do see other board members that are on the call tonight, so Robin and Amy, and I know that they are also supporters of ensuring not only that we're in compliance, but we do hear the parent and community advisory information that's needed. I know you all haven't met with us, but I hear some things that would be great to come to the board, even if it's just from the notes from tonight. I heard a couple of things, one from community schools, the work that you all are doing there. Also the concerns that's coming out of the calendar, specifically around parent-teacher conferences. But my point is that there's some things maybe in the notes that we can take back and make sure that we get that in front of the board as well while we wait for our chair to give us direction on compliance. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. So do you want to share anything about the, what was the event that was had a couple of months ago?
My event?
No,
No, which event?
Legislative Day.
Legislative Day.
Day.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So majority of you all were there, but just for the public, we did present, I don't have it up now, but we did present 4 key priorities for the Board of Education, and we're looking forward to the PCAC playing a vital role in that as we go to advocate. You all played a role in that before with our advocacy day and really gathering other parents. We want to make sure that we get some letter writing really this year and make sure we are in the faces of our legislators. I know special education is a core priority. We have construction and our CIP dollars. Multi-language learners are another priority. And what's the last one that I'm missing?
Safety.
Safety.
I'm sorry.
Safety.
Thank you so much. How can I forget safety? Yes, safety and security for our scholars. And that really is surrounding a lot of talk. And I think it was in this forum, it was brought up too, was around vaping. So we do have metal detection at our high schools, but vaping continues to be an issue in bathrooms and things like that in our high schools. So we want to make sure that we can really push for dollars to be able to do that in the schools. So those are the 4. How can PCAC play a role? As I mentioned, we're gonna hopefully have some letter writing. Also, we know our 4 priorities, so you all coming to Advocacy Day and partnering with your respective. So for instance, I can use Candace Perkins, for instance. I just had her at my District 9, one of my community chats, and then ensuring that our PCAC members tapped in with the board members so that then we can go see our responsible legislators as well, so that we can tap in at the micro level as well as the macro level. Hopefully that's helpful.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And there was, you all will still be providing, I guess, something that provides a little bit more insight on what positions that, you're looking for individuals to support. I mean, you got the topic areas, but, there's still a lot of information about the impact and the dollars that are needed, and, how are we lending our voice to that?
Yeah. So you're talking, yes, so that we can arm you all with it as you all talk to your legislators as well as our community. So yes, I'll talk to the P&G chair about making sure we can get out one pager on that. And Amy is the vice chair. So Amy, maybe we can take away making sure we have like a 2-pager, because I'll say like a 2-pager that talks about each of the 4, as well as breaking it down on what talking points will look like, dollars and things like that. So thank you for reminding us.
Thank you. And so at this point, Ms. Smith, your hand is up.
I have 2 questions. Is it okay to ask?
Yeah.
Okay, Board Member Walker, I don't know if I missed it, but what's the date for Advocacy Day?
You didn't miss it. I didn't mention it because we are working on our calendar, but we will let you know. As you know, legislative season is between January and April, and we will be there 1 or 2 or 3, 4, 5 of those times. But we do have a May legislative day. We have our own PGCPS legislative day, so I'll definitely keep you all in the loop.
Okay, great. And I have a follow-up question regarding Board Policy 1500. So I know that the point that is being made is about us being in compliance with that policy. In my reading of the email traffic, it seems to be different levels of understanding on how this policy is currently written. So my question is, where in the policy does it state that PCAC is required to do quarterly reports?
A quarterly report? It doesn't say a report.
It does.
Specifically, but what it does say is a meeting with the whole board as well as the superintendent. So I think the assumption, and rightly so, you don't have to give a sheet of paper, but because the idea is that you'll be advising, the thought is that you'll have something that's associated with it. Normally we have things that get uploaded into Diligent Now, not Board Docs, but it doesn't say you have to do a report, like a written report, if that's what your question is. What the policy states is that there needs to be a meeting for advisement, at least quarterly. I think also I did see a message that went through about the request of any updates to policy 1500. And I can tell you that I would love for additional clarity as the board liaison. It's up to you all, but I would love for additional clarity to be around not only PCAC policy, quite frankly, but also around DIAD policy. Any policy of volunteers that are working for advisement to our board, I think that there should be additional clarity for reasons that you just asked. There's just gaps in understanding for those. And I think that the more language we can give to it without being so strict will really avoid what we've been seeing about meeting. It's been years, quite frankly, since I've been on a board that we've had a real functioning, not by any means of you all trying, but really had the partnership that we need and deserve for our parent voice and our community voice really happening. And I think that this is the opportunity to do that. So I'll continue to press for that.
And if I want to jump in because we have a time and a section for that, so we can have more of a robust conversation on the agenda here. And so, Dr. Jackson, I see your hand up. And if we're going into any further discussion about 0105, 8100, or 1500, if we can put that in the parking lot until we get to item 7, but I'm gonna give you the floor to ask your question.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask our board members about the fabulous community liaisons that you all have now as part of the board office. Could you all talk with us a little bit about them?
Before, so can we, let
Sure.
me pause on that. I want to pause on that, Dr. Jackson,
Okay.
because I want to close out the report of the chair piece. I do want to go into the report of the superintendent and the designees. So I would like you to hold that question until we get through your report, and we can kind of add that response in the back of your report. Can we do that?
Sure. Sure.
So you have that time, because I want to give you about 5 or 10 minutes to get through your report.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So Ms. Barton is going to share with you all, and it's already shared, I think, a PowerPoint. I am not going through this, but what I wanted to do was just share some points that I've been sharing in some of our Family Institute sessions. So if you could just go right on through, and we will just keep rolling through. Of course, I always like to start with relationships. We got to make sure that most of our work is always rooted in trying to build effective relationships between home and school. That's my team. You can keep going. What I wanted to do, there's information about what my department does in there for you. Next slide. Of course, I think we've talked about the big rocks that Dr. Joseph has introduced, and our work as a department, actually all of the work of anyone working in Prince George's County Public Schools, has to have focus on these 5 systemic big rocks. And I'm hoping that we have, as PCAC, have had a time to explore what they are and what they mean and what our role is in helping to implement these. Next slide. This is just a slide of a reminder of the Family Institute sessions that happen bi-weekly. So far we've had 5. We have one on the 18th that's coming up, and it's actually called Navigating Your Child's Math Journey. So our Department of Mathematics is going to be talking about especially pre-K to middle school, because those are our areas of greater need. And so they want to share some strategies with families to help them. And then, of course, we have 2 more in December before winter break. So you have this in the PowerPoint. Also, I was in a meeting today. As you all know, we are struggling as a community with food scarcity. Parents hopefully will have SNAP resources restored, but until they are, the Capital Area Food Bank is offering major support for our families and our communities. So I wanted to put this slide in so that we could click here to find out where the food centers are, where people can go and pick up food to support their families. And you can find pantries all over Prince George's County and DC. So I wanted to share that information. The contact information is there if anyone needs to reach out to the Capital Area Food Bank. Next. This month, November, is National Family Engagement Month. And so we are doing a lot of things across the district to really highlight this work. The school system comms team actually has created a landing page just to talk about, and they'll be constantly posting some of the wonderful activities that are going on across the district, in schools, in offices, that remind everyone how important our families are. So you all know that families are the first and most important teachers, advocates, and nurturers for our children. And we're doing our work across the district with an evidence lens. We want to look for research-based best practices, and that's what we're doing in my job, just introducing those to schools. We're running a book study this year with our principals, one of Dr. Karen Mapp's books called Powerful Partnerships. And every month we're talking about and helping them develop strategies, look at their practices, explore their mindset about family and community engagement, because the goal is that we want to make sure that every school is a welcoming school, a partnership school. So next. We also, just the themes of the company, the agency that created Family Engagement Month could not decide on one theme. So they gave us a lot of options to think about. As families in partnerships with schools, our job is to make sure that we rise together, and schools know that they cannot improve without effective family engagement. We want to make sure that we are making sure that we're building connections between home and school. So I'll be honest with you, every time that I hear about a school that's not welcoming families, I go visit that school, because we have to make sure we're changing the climate and the culture in our schools to ensure that our families feel welcome, ensure that our families feel valued, ensure that our families feel heard. And so that is the power of partnerships. Next. I know I only had 5 minutes, so I'm not reading these slides. There are 3 slides that have some challenges for National Family Engagement Month, and it's all about thinking about, as families, what is it that we can do more of or do better to make sure that our children are in the learning mindset. So playing board games with children. We're in the MDV. I tell parents all the time, we have all those free museums down in DC. We should be taking our children there for that out of school learning. You can click again. So it's 30 tips there, 30 challenges of things that we can do. And the last challenge just talks about things that are going on in our school system right now. We have children writing letters to their parents, thanking them for their engagement and their support. And they're doing the opposite of it too, writing to school staff, thanking them for working to build that partnership between home and school. But we're trying to increase our numbers of volunteers. We know that we have challenges because of what it costs us to become a volunteer in Prince George's County, but we try to help parents understand that that's all about safety. Everybody, well, not everybody was here when we had that huge scare. Robin, that's when we started fingerprinting and safe schools training, because we never want to have happen again in our school system, the sexual abuse situation that we had a few years ago. Then this slide is about just some fun parenting tips. Because we are a district that honors social emotional learning, we spend a lot of time asking individuals to be mindful and help children understand what mindfulness means. And mindfulness also has to do with those social skills of kindness, of love, of engaging with others effectively. So you have a slide there. Next slide, because I think I'm coming quickly to the end. This is the biggest thing that's in this document. Parent-teacher conferences are next week. And so in this PowerPoint, there are lots of strategies for before, during, and after parent-teacher conferences. That was one of our Family Institute sessions that we just led for parents. We had over 70 parents participate in that. Lots of good feedback. And like our vice chair said, yeah, we do hear a lot of concerns raised about how parent-teacher conferences are done. Please understand, parent-teacher conferences are usually, parents are usually invited, but like Mrs. Millhouse said, you as a parent, you can call and make an appointment to talk to your teacher. And if the teacher doesn't respond, talk to the principal. We don't want any parent to feel that they don't have an opportunity to meet with a teacher and talk about their child, their progress, or their environment, what's happening with them. And so all of that, you can just skip through all of these slides. These are all about, and I took your term, Mrs. Millhouse, about jumpstart, because we really do need to push a button to make sure that we are thinking when we go into our parent-teacher conferences. We need to be armed with our questions that we want to ask. I always say to parents to understand we need to be prepared. I have 14 questions in here that you can read through and choose what you want to talk about with your child's teacher. This is not a dog and pony opportunity for for teachers, when you come in for a parent-teacher conference, it's really about you having one-to-one time with that teacher. One of the things I always like to remind parents is please be on time. If you're on time, oftentimes you're late. So we want to make sure that you don't miss any of that time. And then after you have your conference, talk to your child. Actually, research says we need to talk to our child before the conference and after to make sure before the conference that we understand what their questions and concerns might be. And after the conference, let them know what you talked about with the teacher. If you've made action steps, what is it that you two can do together, or you can engage the teacher to help you with. And then other resources, if you need interpreting services, information is here about how to access that. Next slide. All of that. Yep. Just reminders, if you're going to go to your parent-teacher conference, make sure you have been into Parent View. You have done the research. You've looked at your child's records. You've looked at your, you've had effective two-way conversations with teachers about the work that's being assigned or that's being graded. But we just want to encourage you to have a good parent-teacher conference. And then all the rest of this is just reminders about, making sure that everything's updated, looking at all the resources that are available. We want every school to have an effective parent leadership organization. We want every school to be a welcoming, we call it a partnership school. We know that some schools are still fortress schools where you can't get in. We want all schools to be open. We know we went through a period of time after COVID where everybody thought that they still needed to have closed doors. We want every school, and we're training every school on that aspect to make sure that it's not just an open door policy, but it is actually a partnership environment where you can be heard, you can be seen, and you can work. So that's it. That's quick. I just wanted to share with you all some resources, and you have this PowerPoint, and those resources, those are yours to share with other parents. And I apologize for talking so fast.
No, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jackson. And so I don't know whose hand was up first, so I'm just going to go with Ms. Perkins. And
Teresa's hand was first.
okay, Ms. Smith.
I have one question and one comment. Dr. Jackson, regarding the school meals, I think I saw something online where some schools are doing an additional meal in the evening time or the PM time. I don't want to say evening because I don't know the time of the day. I was just curious, is it specific schools that's doing this?
If you can email me, I'll find out for you. I know that a lot of our community schools have the resources to be able to do that. And sometimes Title I schools do too. So we just need to get information so you all can know exactly who's doing that.
Okay, that'd be great. And then just a comment regarding parent-teacher conferences. I love how you said be on time, but even with being on time, it appears sometimes to be one-sided where the teacher is just filtering out information and it's not really engaging with the parent and the teacher. So I don't know if there's a way, for this feedback can get to the schools to make it more engaging, especially if we're limited to just this session. I know Ms. Millhouse said that we can schedule more, but if the parents are actually showing up, let's make it engaging between the parent and the teacher. Thank you.
Email me, and I will say this to principals next month at the principals meeting. That's where we're doing our training about family and community engagement. And that is one of the key points that we need to make, we need to make sure that we're engaging families. We're not just treating them like a brain on a stick, open up the head and pour stuff in. No, we need you to be engaged. And so thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I also struggled as a parent. 10 to 15 minutes is really short. So that's why they saw me so much. Because again, our teachers are as responsive as we make them. And so we have to be unafraid, to go and say, no, I need a conference. I need more time. Um, and hey guys, take them a sandwich. Hey, no, not a sandwich, but take them a gift. I'm talking about kind of smooth the water sometimes just to build that relationship, because teachers are people too. And sometimes they don't understand the power of this relationship that they have. You all are powerful as parents. And so, yeah, we need you to be unafraid to ask for what you need from our teachers.
Thank you. And I just want to make sure that I clarify very quickly. I know, Dr. Jackson, you're asking Ms. Smith to email you, but in this form, since you're bringing it up with PCAC, if we need to make a recommendation, let's move forward and do that. And if
Okay.
the information that is being emailed, that we share it with the group, so that way it can also become public knowledge, so the whole community is more aware of what is happening and where meals may be available to families, and any tips, tools, because we all are dealing with parent-teacher conferences. We all may have feedback that we collectively can bring that forward. So it's just not a dialogue that's one-sided.
Got it.
Ms. Perkins?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Dr. Jackson, for this plethora of information. This is always a great presentation. So my question is a twofold. On slide 7, when we're talking about the checkpoints for all of the virtual family institution sessions, how successful have they been across the county? Do you have data to support whether or not this is a good date? We're having representation across the entire county in the community. Do you have anything that you could share with us in reference to that? And then I have another question or two.
And while that question's being answered, can we put slide 7 back onto the screen for reference?
Yes, give me
If
one
possible.
second.
Okay, thank you.
So we actually collect data on all of the sessions, and I can share that I'll talk with Dr. Millhouse. I've made you doctor now, Mrs. Millhouse, about going forward. I would love to share that data with you because we are data driven. We collect data all the time about what it is that we're doing. Our challenge, because it's virtual, is that sometimes families just don't, well, we encourage them to log in, tell us where you are, tell us where your child is, well, not about your child, but what school you're in. And we've been able to see that parents come from all over because it's virtual. We had more trouble when we were doing it in person because it was, that you just had to drive to John Carroll. But now that it's virtual, we actually get a more diverse number and range of people who come. So we'll make sure we share that data.
Okay. And then my next question is, how is this information shared? Because I have children in different grades throughout the county, and I'm just trying to make sure that the right comms is sent out to our community in its totality, because this is really great, but I've actually never heard about it. So I'm trying to figure out how this is filtered to the schools.
So when the communications team develops our flyer, we were told that they were going to be put on every school's landing page. So I need you all to let me know if you see it on your school's page, because it's part of making sure that we're, being transparent and communicating. It's also on the school system website under the parent page as an opportunity. It's on the school system calendar every time that there's going to be one. But we've asked every school to make sure it's on their homepage so that it communicates to parents and families that this is important in support of that particular school as well.
So a suggestion I have, because I get random text messages and emails about buses being late. When these are approaching, a suggestion would be for the committee to send a communication out to our PGCPS scholars so that they're aware a day before perhaps, so that people can plan, or, you know, whatever the timeline is, at least two business days ahead of time as a reminder, because there seems like some really great topics, especially, you know, you're talking about the November 18th one where you're focusing from pre-K to middle school. I have a middle schooler, and I just want to make sure that the community in itself is aware of it. And I also have a first grader as well. So I'm just trying to, and I'm looped into all of the comms from those schools. So I'm really just trying to figure out where we're missing the mark with making sure that what the county is providing, which is some really great information, is getting down to, you know, our community.
Thank you. I will definitely look into that. I know that the comms team tells me we're doing a major blast, and I'm not a comms person, so I'm not even sure what that means. So I will ask to find out for sure how these are advertised and how they, I know that's gone on social media, again, on the school system webpage. I was told that it was put on every school's page, but I don't know that for sure. So I'll find out.
Thank you so much for being open to that.
Thank you. And so we have a lot of hands, and see, that's why Dr. Jackson, I was like, let's get to your presentation. And I will let you know, I just pulled up a couple of schools' websites, and it's not on there.
Okay, that's what I need to know.
It's not even showing up on the calendar.
It's not on the school system calendar?
Right.
No.
So like the schools
No.
have the PGCPS calendar linked on their homepages, but I
Yeah,
didn't
it's not
see
on
it.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I will fuss about that tomorrow. Okay.
you have a couple of other things. And so again, I don't know who hand went up first, so I'm just going to call your name and just go ahead and talk. Ms. Harris.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson, for your presentation. You provided a list of questions. Now, these lists of questions, you have a PDF copy of it in both English and Spanish that you could forward the copy to us so we can actually distribute to our parents. Another suggestion or recommendation, can these questions be given to the teachers so they can actually, before the actual parent conference, be able to fill this out for each student? I know for my kid, I get some of these responses on his actual parent view because the teacher would add the comment. Like if something happened in class, she would add the comment. He needs to read more or something of that sort, which would cover some of the questions that are actually on your sheet. So that is a comment and a recommendation as well. I know I wanted to ask a question as it relates to, is there a specific way in which each school decide on how they select parents? For example, on average, it's about 6 hours, each family getting 15 minutes. That's about 24 students within those 6 hours. However, some classes go to as far as 30. Some schools choose to do those students that are below a certain level or below a certain average, while others just try to fit in as much as registered to actually have a parents conference. So is there a set guideline to say we stick with persons who required more attention, or is it that it's a free for all, that sort of thing?
I will speak from a parent perspective. One of the things that I learned is that teachers tend to ask parents whose children might be struggling in some way to come to the parent-teacher conferences first, but also give other parents the opportunity to schedule another time because they may not be able to get everybody that day. Like you said, it's 10 to 15 minutes each. That's not a lot. You can't get through all of your children, all your students that day. So a lot of schools that I've been associated with as a parent have been very flexible about, making sure that if I couldn't get in on parent-teacher conference day, I'm going to get a conference at some point by just asking and just scheduling. But in the past, what I experienced as a parent is we tend to look for the students whose parents they may not have had an opportunity to talk with before, or students who are really struggling, to make sure we can get them back on track.
Okay. Sorry, just another comment. Candice, as it relates to the various institutes sessions that are held, what happens at my school and a couple other schools within my district is that the PA or the community coordinator is the one that usually posts it on Class Dojo. And then whenever we have TO or PTA meeting, we will also present that list during the meetings.
Thank you. And that is a wonderful strategy. We need, everybody helping with us. And I appreciate that. I know I take flyers with me everywhere I go, but you're right. A lot of times we just need schools to help us out more to make sure that their families are informed. Thank you. And Mrs. Milhouse, I'm sorry, I'm taking up a lot of time.
No, no,
okay.
people have questions, and that's why I just wanted to kind of really stay on topic for what you had to present. So, whose hand? Gracia? Am
Hi,
I
yes.
right?
There. Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment on what Dr. Jackson mentioned about the advertising and how the information is getting out to parents, and not just parents, family members, aunts, uncles. With the most recent email that was sent out to the PCAC team regarding the low parent response to that survey, I did find that a lot of close friends, family members, and just community members, even other parents that attended my kids' school, they were not really aware of the survey. Most of them had a lot of comments, a lot of opinions, a lot of suggestions. So I definitely think that it would be a good idea to invest time and effort into making sure this information is being spread to all groups of families. There's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of full-time parents that they don't have, they're not tech savvy or whatever the case may be. We want to make sure that every group is getting the necessary information, because these are all good things that parents should know, but most don't, is what I found. So yeah, that's just a comment that I wanted to make.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for your comments. And I'll definitely take them back for us to be really more mindful of, how we communicate, how we advertise, so that we can make sure it reaches as many families as possible.
Thank you. It seems like we may need to have a meeting with communications.
I think that would be great, because I really think that would be good. I know Megan Thornton can talk about all of the different ways that they do their best to advertise, but everyone can learn and everyone can, hear the feedback about what's being sent out, what's being received, and what we can do differently. So, yeah.
Yeah. Ms. Barton, you have a question?
I just wanted to say that the presentation that Dr. Jackson just gave, I just emailed it to all of the PCAC members, so you guys will have it in your inbox.
Thank you.
And I will ask our Office of Language Access for translation as well.
Thank you. Ms. Lawrence?
Keep forgetting I'm on two devices. Sorry about that. So just wondering, Dr. Jackson, I know you said that the announcement should be on all the home pages, and then we all went and checked really quickly and discovered that it wasn't. What is in place? Do you know, do they have the communications department? I would assume that they have spot checks where they're going through and checking to make sure that it's there. If not, I would suggest that, maybe that's something that PCAT can kind of just do for our own school communities. If we know in advance that something is supposed to be posted, and you let us know to check our schools' home pages, that could be something that we can just quickly look at really quick. But just wondering, is there someone that's responsible for going back to make sure that information is posted on the school's homepage? I would assume that there is.
There is. I
Okay.
will say, however, though, that team has been cut severely in our budget cuts. So I couldn't name the person who's doing that work now, but I know they do, they have to do quality checks. So I'll share that with them.
Thank you.
And I just want to add, Ms. Lawrence, I want to thank you for volunteering what you may want to do with District 5, but I can say that we probably don't have the capacity to go through and do that. So with all these paid positions in PGCPS, I'm quite sure they can find somebody to do that.
Yes, agreed. And I just meant, yes, let me be clear. I did not mean for all the schools in our district. I meant for Like I checked my kid's school really quickly to see if it was there. Yes, definitely don't have the capacity to do
No.
that.
Ms. Perkins?
I appreciate that.
So one more thing in reference to comms, it would be nice though if we can get some type of shared either a folder or an email that has the links to all of the updates from comms that has happened over the last month or X period, just so that we have the source data. And then we can make sure that we, share it amongst our community. I think that would be a way for us to reiterate what you guys are doing when it comes to a support capacity. But yes, Ms. Lawrence, we don't have the capacity to go check all of our district schools, but we could utilize that information. So I don't know if it's a liaison that forwards us all of the updates. Hey guys, these are all the latest comms updates as of this date. Sharing for awareness, that would be helpful because again, there's a lot of great things that are going on, but we don't know what to check for if we don't know what's been updated. No, Ms. Millhouse, I'm not giving us a task. I'm just saying it keeps us in the loop as to what the latest information that the PGCPS comms team has posted on the website so that we can look forward for the information.
And the
Can
point
I just say that the new
Dr.
director?
Jackson, can I just
Sure.
on the fact that when I'm looking at PGCPS's page, there is now a parent page.
Yes.
And so all of this, sending us this and just update the parent page. Like, I mean, and there it is. And then you have the board members who are always sending out newsletters every month. And so if the newsletters have the information, then people on their listserv have the information. So, yeah. Yeah. So you have the floor again, you were saying.
I was just going to say, I got a text from Denise Douglas, who's our new Associate Superintendent for Communications, and she was just appointed with us to be the liaison for the superintendent. She texted me that she could not get in tonight, and she's trying to find she said, please mention that I'm on. So she's here. But so she's hearing all of our comments. And thank you for pointing out the new landing page, Ms. Millhouse. You're absolutely correct. They just shared that with me. They're actually updating my website as a matter of fact too, just to make sure that we have everything right there in front of people. So thank you.
And so if Ms. Douglas has an opportunity some time for individuals who may want to meet with her to give all these great suggestions and some feedback, because we did meet with her when we met with the interim superintendent. And so she was on that call. Okay. So yes, great information. I appreciate that. Are there any other questions, comments, concerns? No. The only question that I have are the parent leader quarterly sessions. I emailed you all a while back. So when are those starting? Are you all having those this year?
We actually had one.
This year?
Yes, in October.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we didn't get the email.
I am so confused because I thought you did, but I will check with Ms. Shannon
I'm
about
sorry,
that.
did anybody on here get it? I didn't get it.
Okay.
Anybody on here get the?
Yeah, I was at the meeting.
You was at the meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody else get it? No? Okay, did PCAC get it? Did it come out to PCAC? No. Okay.
I just know I gave her everyone's contact information, but I apologize that if you did not get it, we'll make sure going forward. There is a session coming up, and I will find it after my report. I'll just have to go to my calendar for parent principals are coming to talk with Ms. Shannon about developing parent leadership organizations. Part of our job is making sure that every school has a parent leadership organization of some sort. When we sent out our requests for data in August, we were very disappointed that the response has not been good, and we've been, kind of hammering and beating the street trying to figure out what's going on. So she's actually working directly with schools that did not respond so that we can develop a full database of all of our schools by board district. A lot of our board members, though, are much more organized than I am. They have that their list already of their parent leaders, but a lot of our schools have not responded. And so she's actually hosting a session with parents. I think she's calling principals a chat and chew to really go deep about why don't we have one and why have you not communicated? Because everybody wants to know, what's happening for parent leadership organizations. Our superintendent, our board wants to know, and of course PCAC wants to know as well.
Yeah. And so I just want to make sure that what I heard you say is you're going to make sure that you email PCAC because we were getting it before, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate you making sure that the PCAC email account receives that, and we'll make sure that we send it out to all of the members
Thank you.
as well. So thank you. Any other questions? No comments? Oh, Ms. Board Member Walker.
Thank you so much. One of the things that I hear loud and clear is that there is continuing to be a gap of overall communication. I mean, Dr. Jackson, one of the things that I think is imperative to us, and we can take it back as board members, I know I'll take it back as the liaison as well, is that this is our parent and community group, and you do such a phenomenal job at all of the activities that you do in the community. But as you know, there's a million things happening in the communities, and we just don't know about all of them. So if we can help by streamlining it on a website, I know Ms. Denise is listening in, that parent website, so that board members can actually start putting in their newsletters, communicating on their socials about this parent site. That way it is a one-stop shop of all of the activities that they can begin to engage in. Also, Ms. Denise, I know you're listening in, but each of us have our PTA and PTO leader names. We can leverage that, streamline it, and be able to send that out to our parent organizations, those in charge. There's just so many ways. So I just think that there's an opportunity for us to continue to increase the communication for it, because they're missed opportunities and you're doing so much work. There's no reason why there's only a limited participation and people can say that they still don't know. So I think that from the board perspective, get this added to, Mia's on a call, but we also have Tashina, who is our, Ms. Woodridge is our liaison, I think, from tonight. So let's ensure that all of these family and communication forums are on the board members' calendars. That way, as we see them, we can put them into our newsletters. There's just so many different opportunities for us in our limited capacity to be able to get it out. And then also, now that we have this parent website, or URL, we should be pushing that. So any communications we have, Ms. Denise, who's listening in, if there's a social that says, hey, guess what? We have this new parent website, go here, send it to us. Let's send it to PCAC. Let's just push it so that people can know. All right, and I'm happy to help to do that when we have it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to Ms. Welsh, policy presentations, and your time is 5 to 10 minutes. Do what you can, Ms. Welsh.
Okay, good evening, everyone. First, I just wanted to give you an update of which policies are coming up that are either out already for public comment and when that time period is going to come to an end, as well as policies that will be discussed in the Policy and Governance Committee meeting on this coming Tuesday, November the 11th. So in the first group of policies, these are ones that have been out for public comment, and that public comment period does close this coming Friday at 5 o'clock. So if there's things that there's a good group of policies that are being rescinded because either they're a duplication of other policies or they actually, like, for example, newspaper advertising is really not the best way to get information out to people anymore, since we do have the internet and websites and everything. And then the rest are policies that the board, there's a new policy that the board enacted called that is in the process of developing the employee use of social media and personal electronic devices, as well as revisions to the business policy and the board members' voucher reimbursement expenses, and then home and hospital teaching and Board of Education standing committees and focus work groups. And then for this upcoming Tuesday at the policy meeting, if you could scroll down, Mayor, please, to the November 11th. There's 3 policies that are up for discussion. The first one is the pre-K literacy promotion and retention policy. This is a brand new policy that we will be discussing. The second one is policy 8100, which is actually coming back for discussion. And that again is the one on standing committees and focus work groups. And then the last one is the policy 1700 disabilities issues advisory board. And then the 3 that'll be the committee's going to vote on for sending out for public comment is the policy 0104 Title 9, and then policy 8103, which is participation in meetings electronically. And this is just so you know, when you see the 8,000 number on the policies, those are the board's internal policies. They're sort of working policies of how they operate. And so that 8103 will be discussing the possibility of when a board member has a emergency type of situation and needs to be able to wants to be at the meeting but can't. The conversation is about being able to get into the meeting virtually and at least be able to participate that way. And then the last policy is 8265, which is evaluating the superintendent of schools. So those will, the committee will vote on those this upcoming Tuesday to determine whether they're ready to go out for public comment. Saying that, so the public comment period runs for 2 weeks when a policy is out for public comment, but it's critically important that you always have the opportunity, any policy and governance committee meeting, to come, because there's a public comment section of that meeting that you can come and you can provide, be right there virtually and provide your public comments. Or if you can't make it virtually, you can always send in written comment also. The committee is very open and receptive to receiving public comment, and I can't tell you how many times we made revisions to policies just based on the comments we've received from the public. So it's an important opportunity for parents and community members to, provide input as the committee works on putting these policies together. So that is the first piece of the agenda for my report, I guess. And then I know the next part of the agenda is going into the actual policies. Unless anyone has any questions about the policies that are up for public comment, might as well just go into the policies if you're okay with that.
I do have a question. I'm sorry, did I miss your hand, Ms. Smith? Can I just jump in?
You can.
Smith, the pre-K literacy, the promotion and retention, how is that different from what MSDE is moving forward with their new literacy policy? Like what's the purpose? What gap are we filling with this pre-K literacy promotion and retention? And was this something that was introduced by the Dr. White's team? Like what's the purpose of this?
This was well, first of all, it is a recommendation of a committee member to bring it to the policy committee to discuss for the possibility of moving it forward. And it's and the policy, the MSD policy, has some very strong language. Also, well, first of all, there's a lot of requirements in the MSD literacy policy, a lot of requirements that are really critically important that we will be required to follow. And it's backed up by the education article, as well as COMAR. So these are the very important pieces to ensuring that our students are walking out the door in second grade, going into third grade, and they can read at their grade level. So it's going to be very important. So part of it is purpose for this policy. And the committee is going to discuss this in much more detail on Tuesday. They have not had a chance to talk about it at all yet. This is just a proposal. It could very well be they decide they don't want to move forward since the MSD does have a policy. I would never speak for the committee because it's their job to make those determinations. But it will definitely, that policy will definitely reinforce all the requirements that are being required from MSDE, because a tremendous amount of training is now required of our teachers, as well as a tremendous amount of the specific type of training, because it's a very major focus on the science of reading, where they're looking at phonemic awareness, phonics, comprehension, syntax, all those types of things. Very different than the approach that was used in the past. And the research bears out that students have tremendous amount of success using the approaches through the science of reading versus the other approaches that they used to use. So ideally, if we do it correctly and follow everything, we should see some very nice results with our students for reading.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Ms. Smith.
I just had a quick question about board policy 8265, evaluating the superintendent of schools. I was just curious, within the policy itself, maybe the question is, historically, have we identified the areas that the superintendent will be evaluated on? Is there an opportunity to have that information spelled out in the policy itself? I'm just curious.
So the policy, as the way it stands right now, is that and actually it's being revised to include an ad hoc committee on the superintendent's evaluation. And the purpose of that ad hoc committee would be to determine, working with the superintendent collaboratively, to determine what would be his goals for the year. And then these would his performance goals, basically, of which then these would be things that he would be evaluated on. And once the ad hoc committee on the superintendent's evaluation develop these things, they will then take it to the full board for the full board to vote on, so that there's agreement that this is what the superintendent's being evaluated on for the school year.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that information.
Ms. Lawrence.
I was just wondering if there is a opt-in or some type of alert system for families or community members that are interested in like policy updates or opportunities to comment. Again, with the communication, like I feel like I heard you say that the committee is very open to public comment, but I don't know that the community knows that. So just wondering if there's a way that folks can opt in. I know you can go to the website and look at the policy revision tracker and all that, but outside of going to the website, is there some way that people can just opt in to have information come to them?
That's a very good question. I would have to talk to the board office about making that a possibility. I mean, certainly anything's possible. So I would have to talk to them. I will say that currently on the board's website, that they actually list out now the policies that are up for comment, and all you have to do is click on it and you can submit your comments right there. So they have made a lot of changes in attempting to make it easier for the public to provide their comments from an electronic standpoint. But as far as I hear what you're saying, getting the attention of the public to let them know, hey, these policies are out there, please read them, and provide any comments that you might have. That's something certainly that the Policy and Governance Committee could discuss as a possibility.
Great, thank you.
Cindy has her hand up. Ms. Millhouse, maybe she has a response to the question.
Okay.
Thank you for recognizing me. Regarding advertisement for the policies, it is usually announced at every board meeting which policies are coming up for public comments. And we also have board members who add it in their newsletters. So I would say subscribe to the board members' newsletters.
But if you can, Director Adeline, take into consideration that everybody may not be subscribed in getting that out. And so, if people are signed up via Messenger or however, that you all can identify a way to, as Board Member Walker mentioned, let's help close some of these communication gaps to help spread the information and get people more involved. And I would like to know, do you all plan on doing any type of training video on how to navigate this new system? And since we were on board docs for so long and we have this new system, it's still a learning curve, especially for me. And I'm very familiar with navigating board docs. So that would also be helpful. Because when we say it's on the website, you know, unfortunately, PGCPS website has not been one of the easiest things to navigate. Thank you. Ms. Lundy?
Yes, thank you, Member Millhouse, President. So with regarding policy 8265, what is done with the evaluation? How is it used?
I'm not so sure I totally understand your question.
So the evaluate, once the policy is approved and everything like that, and the evaluation of the superintendent, whomever that may be, is done, how is that information used? Where does it go? Is it, what is it, how is it used? How's the evaluation used?
So, and I'm gonna probably,
Like the purpose of it, I guess Ms. Walker, Member Walker can address
I
that.
was just gonna say, I was gonna refer that to Board Member Walker only
Sure.
because she has gone through this process and she could probably share that information.
Sure, I'm sorry, I just
Okay.
caught the last thing.
Understood.
No worries, I'm happy to answer it. Was the question, what do we do with the evaluation once we've rated the superintendent?
Correct.
Oh, okay. So we use the evaluation. It's just like in any corporation, we use the evaluation to determine how he's rated. And based on that rating, he'll get a raise, not get a raise, decide if we're going to, if he's met expectations, if he hasn't met expectations. But the good news is that I think that the superintendent's goals that we measure him on are already online. I'll double check that, but it's a public record. So you'll know what he's being rated on and against, and everybody has access to that, but I'm happy to send it out. I can do it in a second. As a matter of fact, Cindy, is that something, or Ms. Woodridge, is that something we can send to PCAP? It's right online. I'm assuming that's a yes. We can get it to you all, but you all can also go to pgcps.org, but I know there's a lot of navigating to where you can see it. So Ms. Woodridge, if you can send that over to the PCAP address so that they can have it, and at least know how to see the superintendent's, what he'll be rated on, his top goals. And that's what he's rated on. And so the process of what happens is that each board member, he has a self-evaluation that he presents to the Board of Education. In that, after that, we take a look at it and we rank it against what the outputs are. We then, each individual then gives him a rating, and we have a collective rating. Then we go back and we give him feedback, anonymous feedback on who said what, and we actually talk about it inside of a room. We give him his evaluation and then just determine what next steps are. I think all of this is outlined in a policy that Robin just talked about. So hopefully I've answered that question, but it determines if he's meeting expectations or if he or she, is not meeting expectations, and where we go from there.
All right, thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay, and so Ms. Walsh, I want to go ahead and give the floor back to you. And so unless there are any other questions about any of the policies I presented, so we can go into policy 0105. I know Ms. Harris, you have some questions on that, policy 8100, Ms. Smith, and then 1500.
Okay, I'd be glad to. I'll just do a quick recap on each of the policies, and then if there's questions, we can discuss them. Policy 80105, which is parent, family, and community involvement, was actually the board had made revisions to that policy, some very extensive revisions to the policy in March of 2024. So it's slightly over a year old. And the changes in the policy were really to try to be as comprehensive as possible. When I was listening to what you were talking about earlier this evening in terms of parent conferences, and making it inviting and allowing parents to feel comfortable enough to ask questions, as well as knowing it's their responsibility to ask questions and be more engaged. This policy actually goes into great detail about what are the responsibilities of everyone when it comes to ensuring that parents are engaged. And it first begins with a whole section in the standards about effective school, family, and community collaboration, and extensive, like there's many different standards listed in terms of what the responsibilities of the PGC employees are. For example, employees will interact respectfully with parents and families so they're involved in their child's education. There's demonstrate a commitment to parent and family community involvement in the educational process. There was language added in this last go round to ensure that communication is in terms of how students are doing to parents who are incarcerated, so that they're at least informed about their students. Then there's that's about addressing the concerns of parents, furnishing information to parents about all the kinds of services they could access, providing parents with information concerning what the expectations are for their children in that particular grade level. Let's see what else, providing specific information about the actual instructional programs, and then helping parents understand how they can access their child's educational records, because that is a right of parents to have the records, and oftentimes parents do not know how to go about getting that. Also, important piece is really providing the parents the opportunity to participate in decision-making related to both their student, also the school their child is enrolled in, as well as district-wide decisions. And then offering training and materials to help parents monitor and support their academic achievement for their children, because sometimes parents really don't know what their role is and what they're supposed to do or how to go about that. So the idea was that would be another piece the board would like to see that happening. And that, of course, this would all be picked up in the administrative procedure. There is, because also in ESEA, Elementary Secondary Education Act, there are definitely some requirements as it relates to what needs to be done for working with parents, and that was included in this policy. And then the conversation about how frequently should PCAC be engaging with the board and everything. There's language specific in this policy that says the board and the superintendent will consult regularly, but not less than quarterly, with the Parent Community Advisory Council, and may meet more frequently by mutual agreement. So that language is in there. And then there's just as an aside, there's similar language to this in 1500. So the two coordinate. And then it talks about that we'll conduct an annual climate and cultural survey, which we do. So that's the first piece. Then and it also says treat parents and community members with courtesy and respect, and that is extremely important. So then it goes into two-way communication, and it talks about the superintendent being responsible for developing effective communication methods, so that, and again, this sort of goes to the earlier conversation this evening, and in terms of so that there's actually a conversation. It's not just the teacher telling the parent everything, that's going on in the classroom, but that there's a back and forth communication so that the parent feels like they are an equal partner in that communication when they come to have their parent conference with the teacher. And also that, of course, that all these communications need to be provided in a language and a format that parents and families can understand. And in this county, in Prince George's County, it's extremely important when you look at just in general, the percentage of students that are Latino and the parents who English is not their first language, And then the other thing, which is important, and we have received complaints about things like this, where it says provide adequate notice about meetings to parents, families, and communities. Just recently, I received a complaint where a parent said, "I didn't even know this was going on. Why didn't someone communicate?" So just those basic things. But then there's a whole nother section in the policy that addresses building capacity of the parents, so that they can, it's really our responsibility to provide assistance to them to help them understand the academic assessments and be able to monitor their own child's progress, and work with their children to improve their achievements. Really helping the parent, again, be a full partner and doing their part in doing that, which requires a lot of training also on the part of our staff to be able to have that capacity. And it says that PGCPS in each school will provide professional development to school personnel on how to work with parents as equal partners in their child's educational process. And then there's a whole section on equity in terms of ensuring that we are working to get feedback from all of our parents. We provide all, the same opportunities for all of our parents, the same cultural experiences, all those types of things. And that, of course, there's a whole section then about, of course, no discrimination. Then there's a section that talks about system decision-making and ensuring that our parents, that we're engaging them, and the parents and the community members, the stakeholders in general, in district-wide initiatives, issues, and programs, and getting them involved in prior to final decisions being made, so that we have included all that information when a decision's being made. And then each school is encouraged to have their own recognized organized parent group, and that we have many schools that do, but not all. And so this is, again, the board is saying in this policy that they would like to see every school have their own parent group. And then at least once every year, each school must hold a public meeting at a reasonable time for all their stakeholders invited to learn about school level priorities, academic standards, information that helps families become stronger partners in the education of their children. Then there's a section that actually talks about the responsibility for parents and families' responsibilities. Like, what are their responsibilities in terms of, for example, ensuring that their child attends school regularly, making sure that they respond to requests for information, just basic things that parents are required to that do as parents for their children as they come into school. There is also a section under implementation responsibilities. It does say that the superintendent is directed to implement this policy by enacting administrative procedures. And then it also says the superintendent shall report to the board annually on or by July 31st on the implementation of this policy, of what things have been done. So this was the committee had worked on this and spent a lot of time on it, and then it went to the board, and the board did vote on this back in March of 2024. So that now I do know that, and Sheila probably can talk much more about this, because I know she's been working with the superintendent, because the superintendent would like to have a new policy on parent, family, and community involvement. So I don't know, Sheila, maybe you can share a little information. If
Well,
you're still on, I don't see you.
Before we pass that baton, I want to ask Ms. Harris, because I know that she had emailed some questions, and that's why this policy was put on the agenda. So Ms. Harris, do you have any questions that you need clarified, any comments that you want to share?
Okay, thanks for the floor. As it relates to the policy, I did read through it. I noticed that the policy tend to be very general. What the parents want is for there to be specifics, meaning there's specific areas that needs to be covered, and it's like you just skimming the top and not getting to the actual point, which is what the parents need. Clear guidelines in the policy as to what exactly, define exactly what is the involvement as it relates to the parents. For example, stuff such as meal planning, security management, the actual detail. Like, for example, at one of our parents teachers conference, there was a big debate as to if the parent can actually visit the student at school during lunchtime, because the student requires a special diet. Now, some schools allow it, other schools don't. So there needs to be a clear guideline. What level of involvement does the parent have within that school district, within that school? so that straight across the board, everybody's on the same page. So my question is, can some of these items be detailed or clarified in the policy so that everyone is on the same page?
So, Ms. Harris, I will say what you're asking for is actually the information that is usually provided in the administrative procedure that goes along with the policy. So you are correct. Policies are written in a more global fashion, and what it is the Board of Education is saying to the school system, this is what we want to see. And then the administrative procedure goes into the detail about how is the school system going to do these things? So I hear exactly what you're saying. It really is things that would be then included in the administrative procedure. And at this point, I don't know what the status of that administrative procedure is. I'm guessing also that Dr. Jackson has been working on that, and along with the new policies, so that she could probably give us an update because I haven't been involved in that process.
The reason why I made it is because I reviewed all the state's policy, and most of these items are included in the policy, not just in the admin procedure. So that's the reason why the suggestion was given. Is it a possibility that Prince George County could, we're not saying going into the fine print, but at least there's a general heading for those specific areas to be covered within the policy.
So what I would recommend is that because this policy is going to be coming up for review this year, that you would go ahead and submit public comment about this. So that way the committee could consider your concerns. That is the best thing. Either come to the meeting and provide it, or put it in writing, either way, but actually come provide the public comment on that policy so they can consider the suggestions that you're making.
Okay, so
I mean, I don't have any authority. So
no, that's fine. But I'm saying a public comment can only be submitted through the public comment on the board page, and that's the only way public comments can be submitted for it to be reviewed the policy.
No.
No.
Okay.
Public comment, you could write up your public comments and send them in for the next Tuesday's meeting. That it doesn't have to go through the board page at all. It can just go directly to the board office, where they would have it as what your comment is for. I think, and maybe I should ask Cindy the actual mechanics of that, if she's still on the call.
Well, I want to add, Ms. Harris had sent some concerns in writing to the board member Moss via email. And so those considerations that she sent as a community member,
okay.
Right. And so you sent it in to the leadership of that committee. It is now a documented concern or, recommendation, and then there it is.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Right? I mean, that's still a viable way to submit information. Yes, she can also submit it, as a public comment. But if she's sending it and submitted it with her board member on the email as well, that's a communication. A way to submit your questions, comments, concerns, but also, as you stated, Administrative Procedure 4217 is the complement to 0105. 4217 has not been updated since 2008. And so I know this has been a longstanding conversation for us on PCAC about 0105 and 4217. So Dr. Jackson, I'm going to pass the baton to you right now, because it would be great to hear what's the status of 4217.
So the status of 4217 is on hold because our new interim superintendent is doing a deep review of policy 0105. He actually teaches districts how to do policies, and he's got real concerns about how that policy is written, not to change it as much because the board is the one who decides what the policy should be. But after this review and his drafting, he's going to take it to the Board of Education to talk about what next steps should be. We know, again, it was just approved, and I made that comment. It's just been approved, but he's he's a little different just because of that's what he teaches. So we'll see. I will just say, please don't hold your breath because right now we're going into a really tough budget season. And so that's where the primary focus in the school system is right now. But it is being worked on.
Okay, so I just want to add this to what you said, to make sure that we're all on the same page. Ms. Harris, um, I would definitely suggest if you and the community members, or if you want to introduce this to PCAC as a recommendation, that we move forward with suggestions on policy 0105 as well as AP 4217. We, at this point, are going to always be in a very tough budget season. And if we are staying, because I just heard you all state that the engagement and how you are partnering with parents is very important. It is not, it will always be the priority to make sure that we are closing the gaps with communication, and that we are building the bridges to make sure that we have clear opportunities to establish a partner in education framework that parents are seeing as equal individuals in this movement to get our children from good to great and over the finish line to graduation. And so, Ms. Harris, if you could just, get the information, your questions and concerns, or anybody, you send that in to us for PCAC. If you want to move forward as a recommendation for PCAC, we will bring that forward at the next meeting and vote on it. But as a community member, you can also do it individually as well. Any questions about that, Ms. Harris?
I just wanted to confirm what was the final date for public comment for that, because a couple parents were asking what was the actual date, final, yeah.
The final date of so the policy is actually going to be coming up in the December Policy and Governance Committee meeting. So you actually have the whole month of November. Hold on a second, let me get on a calendar up here and I can check for when that date is.
So
that's usually like the second or third week in December, but I'll get the actual date in 1 minute.
So is that the first time that the committee will be reviewing?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, okay. So this is the beginning stages, Ms. Harris. So there's a lot of time for continued community input, and feedback, and submission of public comment. So
and the December meeting is December 16th.
Okay, so this is a great time to bring this up. So it gives time to gather a lot of information, and if we want to move it forward as a recommendation from PCAC as well, based on the community members, we can do that as well, but we have the time.
So this is to review policy 4217, correct?
No, 0105.
0105 is December 16th, is the first time it'll be up for review?
Yes, and
okay.
Administrative procedure is 4217. It does not go through review from the P&G committee. That is something that's done internally with administration.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Lundy, I thought I saw your hand up. Was it up?
Yeah, I took it back down. I can hold.
Okay. And if there are no more questions on policy 0105, we can move to 8100. And if I can do this a little different, Ms. Welsh.
Sure.
I know Ms. Smith had brought this up. I know she sent an email to Board Member Walker and I believe Board Member Brown. And so, Ms. Smith, if you could share what you had submitted, and then Robin, you can kind of put some context around it, and Board Member Walker or Brown, if you want to jump in at that time. Ms. Smith.
Sorry, couldn't be quick enough with the mute button. So, Ms. Welsh, I think you and I talked about this briefly, but when I was looking at the changes for policy 8100, I noticed that there was a new section added, and as far as the proposed language, and it stated at least one citizens advisory committee and at least one special education issues advisory committee. And when I saw that language, and it might be broad, I was just concerned that it might be a move to replace or restructure the existing councils or boards that are in place, such as those that's under policy 1500 and 1700. So I wanted to get some clarity surrounding the proposed language, the new proposed language, and then how will the existing councils fit within that language? Basically, I want to ensure that these councils are not dissolved.
So basically, so first of all, let me just share, this is, again, you're correct, is proposed language. And the committee did discuss it at the last committee meeting, and then I was actually asked to go back and review, not specific to this, but to review how other school systems do their standing committees and stuff. So right now we're looking at what's happening across the state at each of the different school systems as it relates to it. So the committee hasn't voted on this to move this forward at all. So I just want to make sure you're clear. This is purely just some recommendations that could easily get changed by the next committee meeting, depending on what the committee decides to do. But basically the language is just saying that, yes, by law, the Board of Education is required to have two things. They are required to have the Citizens Advisory Committee. That is actually in the law. So every Board of Education in the state must have a Citizens Advisory Committee. And then there is also another requirement which has to do with the MSDE requirement, which is also in the law, which talks about the fact that every school system must have a CCAC. And so those are required things. But this is saying, in essence, that basically we may have these things, but it's not limited to just this. There could be other advisory committees. So, and in my research, and I'm not done yet, but in looking at what other school systems do, there's some school systems that have like 5 advisory committees. So I'm just saying there's a wide variety. So I think the intent here was more not to limit, but to just say these are all possibilities. Again, though, I'm glad you're sharing your thoughts on this, because the committee that they will be discussing this in more detail on the 11th, next Tuesday.
Miss Wilker?
Yeah, no, thank you.
I was gonna add commentary behind it, but I think I could send it via email. Because I'll say it real quick. I think for clarity purposes, it would help that if we do need to identify those statute mandated councils, that maybe there's some language that preface that, at a minimum, we have to have these councils in place, but it doesn't preclude us from having additional ones. Just some language so that it's clear why we are explicitly calling out some and not others. And I'll stop. Thanks, Ms. Millhouse.
Okay, any other, okay. Board Member Walker and then Ms. Perkins.
Thank you so much. And this will be really short. I think Robin and Board Member Olivo, we have an opportunity to kind of work offline to determine how we can ensure that each of our committees gets the relevant information from policy and governance. But at times it feels like this becomes a separate policy and governance committee meeting. And I just want to do a watch out for Ms. Welsh, because she's taking information from now what seems like DIAB, from our policy and governance, and specific information from here. Then she's going to take that information, and you all have been clear on what you want. Now she's going to take that and take it to policy and governance. And if there's any question, now she gets inside of this, well, I got to go back to them. And so I'd love to be able to ensure that we can create an opportunity for our policy and governance committee, whether it's that we have to send out something to PCAC or DIAB and say, hey, we're meeting and here's the policies we're talking about as a reminder to give input so that we can have it on a collective call. But I start to feel just a little concerned in Ms. Welsh being the holder of all this amazing information you all are giving, and then her maybe not being in a position to relay that information adequately and effectively when it comes to our policy and governance committee, and we don't have any real details in writing. Now, I did hear that Ms. Harris has sent something in. I haven't seen that, but I'll definitely double check with what that looks like. But if there's recommendations, like I think it would be amazing if there was a recommendation based off these policies for us to look at X, Y, and Z, that can serve as your public comment for then the policy and governance committee to take that as a whole and incorporate that in that meeting right there. But I'm a little, Ms. Welsh, I don't know how you feel, but it feels like you are the conduit to make sure all things are being pulled together. And I just don't know if it's a fair position to put you in all of these committee meetings. But we can
No,
take it offline.
I actually appreciate that because as I had reinforced with Ms. Harris, please put your public comment in because I work at the pleasure of the policy committee, and I will, it's all about the policy committee making determinations, but they can't do it if they haven't received the public comment. So it really needs to come through the avenue of the public comment. So I appreciate what you're saying at this point. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, but
And I wanna-
PCAC is a big voice. And so if you all have something and say this is coming from the PCAC committee, which is powerful in itself, then at least we'll have that to be able to hear or see or read that public comment to make sure we're adding that. But it kind of feels like a different P&G committee without the right people being on the phone to be able to take all of the stuff that you have.
No, so I want to make sure that we're clear on what's happening because there were questions that were asked outside of PCAC, and it would be helpful that when they pull me in on something that they're bringing the liaison as well into the conversation. But this right now is not for Ms. Welsh to gather all this information and then go back and feed it back to anyone. It is to get the understanding and the individuals know, Ms. Harris, Ms. Smith, or anyone, if there is any question or concern or comment that you have, you need to put that in writing. For PCAC as a whole, we have to vote as a whole council on what we send forward as a recommendation. No one can say, oh, well, I thought this, and I'm going to send it forward as the vice chair of PCAC. If Ms. Smith sends it forward, she is sending it forward as Ms. Smith. I would like, as I'm saying to everyone, that if it is a recommendation that you want us to collectively to discuss and go into deeper and then have more context around it, that you all need to do that. So then as a council, we can vote on it and then move a recommendation forward. It is not to have a lot of conversation and, Ms. Welsh is being a scribe and then walking away. Absolutely not, because there are a lot of things being asked, said, recommended. In anything that we're doing right now, if we want to recommend something as a council, we are going to send it forward as a recommendation. So no one is, any additional work on them. Ms. Smith?
You touched exactly what I was going to say. I just wanted Ms. Walker to know that as an individual, I actually did send my comments about the question that was posed just now related to policy 8100. I sent the comment in, but I did want some clarity, some edification, and that's why I was added to the agenda tonight. But I definitely submitted comment just as an individual.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay. Thanks for the clarification. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we do appreciate our superintendent liaisons that are here, and in no way, as you all will hear me say consistently, like I do not have the capacity to, add on anything extra. And so I will not allow us to burden anyone else with any additional tasks, but making sure that it is written out clearly so the collective voice is heard, but any individual on here has the right to send anything forward as a individual, but be mindful, you cannot send it forward if we did not vote on it as part of the council. Okay. Any other questions?
I do have a question, Chair Millhouse. If we have a suggestion for a resource that would aid our Board of Education, do I send that to you and the Vice Chair? How would that
Yes,
work?
if you would like the council as a whole to discuss and
Mhm.
talk about it and would like us to vote on it and move it forward in the recommendation, yes. So just send it to the PCAC and then let us know, and then we will
Oh, the
share.
PCAC. Okay.
The PCAC email, we'll share it with the group. Just make sure that you let us know what you are recommending. Give us any context behind it so we can have a robust conversation at the next meeting. And then we vote to move it forward or not, and we go from there. Okay? Ms. Perkins?
Thank you, Chair. I do have a question, Ms. Walsh. Where on these policies are amendments identified? Like, where can one click on, like if you Google the board policy, right? Where can you have a quick reference as to what the suggested amendments are?
So as the board, as the policy committee works on the policy, the changes that are made are usually track changes, and they keep the, and I will also refer to Cindy Adeline, but they normally keep those track changes up until the very end when the policy is actually enacted. So that way you can actually see when the policy is being posted, what changes are being recommended for the change for the policy.
So I'm looking at one of the policies and I don't see anything bolded or anything visible to the, normal common eye. My recommendation would be that the PCAC do a vote so that when policies are implemented and amended, that they are easily identified by the community, whether that be a subsection or in bold, some outline or way of being easily, readily identified.
Is this a
Ms. Walker.
motion?
Yeah, it is though. I don't know if Ms. Welsh has already said this, but it is. So through the process, what happens is that we get the original, how the policy is currently written. And then on the call, we get the mocked up one. And it's literally mocked up of what Ms. Welsh then goes back based on our feedback, and then she mocks it up. And then we give feedback again. So by the time you all get it for public comment, Ms. Welsh, isn't it already mocked up or is it not mocked up?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that they posted with all the track changes on it up until the very end.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I'm looking at one and I can see all the versions history, yes. But my issue is I don't know what exactly was updated. There is nowhere on here where I can just, like board policy 8100, I'm just looking at that one. I don't know without having to cut and paste all of these versions, and maybe I'm miseducated, and Cindy, I see your hand up, but I don't know where I can quickly refer to all of the changes for this document so it's easily read by the general public.
Ms. Adeline?
I think I understand your question, your issue. So usually when all our mocked up policies are on Diligent, and that's goes to what Ms. Millhouse was saying. That is very hard to navigate. But to help you guys and streamline the process, how about when we have the policies, we send it to the generic PCAC email, and then it can be shared with the committee.
But if you're asking for public comment, you're talking about our whole entire population, not just each representative. I think the onus is on the county to make sure that that's a transparent piece to have asked. So like if I can click on the board policy and see, all of the versions, I should be able to have one link or some version somewhere where I can see exactly what am I looking at that are the changes so that I can easily digest this. Because if you're not familiar with it and you're trying to educate yourself on how this policy impacts my household, it would be nice for it to just be easily read.
Okay, are you on the board webpage right now?
I'm on the PGCPS website. I'm looking at board policy 8100 because that's the one that we were just talking about. And I see All of the references. So in the reference section, I see it. I see the history, where it was adopted and revised. I see it all. And then I see the document that links, the board policy 8100. I see it. I see it was updated November 14, 2024, but I don't see what the actual change is that you're asking for comment on, if any.
Oh, she's not.
Okay, I got you. So on the
Uh-huh.
board page, if you go over to, there should be a box that says comment on proposed policies. It should be box number 12356.
Mm-mm.
I don't even see, sorry to jump in, but I'm not even sure I even see where candidates. So I was looking at the revision tracker, trying to find this. Now I'm at the actual policy. I don't see any of even what Candace was saying. I don't see that either. So I think that's
for
the
sake of
issue.
time, can I jump in for the sake of time and say this? Back to my request to maybe have a video or something that goes
And
out.
diligence.
Yeah, it usually is an attachment on the agenda, and you can see that policy that's being discussed with the track changes. The problem is, I don't know how to find that attachment anymore. And so I think it goes back to Board Member Walker, what you stated, how do we kind of close some of these gaps with communication and making sure that people know how to access information. And it's hard to know what you are providing public comment on if I can't easily find the document. And
I understand what
so,
you're saying.
yeah, and so Director Adeline, I'm not sure how that can be resolved. I know it's not going to be resolved tonight because it's 8:58. And
If I just make a quick comment, if you don't mind.
yes, please.
Yeah, so I hear everyone's issues, right? I hope Ms. Douglas is still on the line, on the call, because in the past, what we did would have the policies go out through the PGCPS Express to alert parents that these were the policies and these were the track changes. But I want to say for the past couple months, I haven't seen it in the Express. So maybe that's something I could follow up with Ms. Douglas on, because I usually ask that it be put in the newsletter so that when it's sent out to parents, parents have that option as well. But one thing I was saying earlier is that when it goes out, I could also send you guys copies of the policies and the links to the public comments. That way it's easier for you to have it right at hand.
I mean, that would be fine for PCAC, but just as, was stated for the whole. And I appreciate you talking to Director Douglas about how to make sure that the global community gets it. Because I'm looking at the agenda package. I clicked on agenda and I don't see any attachment that I can open up where I see the track changes. So that would really be helpful. But I can click on request to speak. I see that button.
Can
But
a system be built? Can a system be built where each policy in this system of policy that's being worked on, we can see the different revised additions and including the mock-ups? So you, like Ms. Perkins said, just keeping track. It's like building a house, right? You don't want to lose records. You kind of want to have reference what was built and what was changed. So what can a system like that be built? So it's kind of online based where people can access it and we have a nice archive of things.
Another dashboard.
Yeah, basically. And with all this AI software, why don't we just make the students figure out a system for us? I think that's some great on-hands training. Something like that can really be built.
Yeah.
I would also say that until something's built, though, the way it could be done, Cindy, is on the page where it says comment on proposed policies. So you click on that and it says click here to provide your comments. But it would be good to have the policy attached there, because that means you have to go back, and I do agree, and I agree with Ms. Millhouse, because I've said to you many times, I need training on diligence because I'm spending a lot of time trying to find my stuff. So but if you had at least have the policy attached to where you're asking for the comments, it would be a lot easier for the general public to be able to go and read and that's the one that would have all the track changes. They could see all the changes, and then they could fill out the comment page.
Actually, it is.
It
So
is?
Right. So if you click on the link below the policy that says, click here, let me go back to the board webpage.
Oh, I see it. It's a highlight,
Right,
it's underlined. Got it.
Exactly. Inside the Google form is the link that says, click here to see the policy revisions. The deadline for the comments are blah, 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 blah. So if you click on that link that says, click here to see the policy revisions, it will take you to Diligent, where the policy that are marked up is located.
Okay, so you just proved our point. So someone's going to do a quick training video or some quick video that's going to be out there, because we just spent, a good amount of time, and I'm lost and I didn't find it, and so I'm so excited with all these brains on here that we've got a solution to one of our problems. Ms. Welsh, your hand is still up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm clicking on
You're
things
you're trying to figure it out. You're still looking for it, aren't you? Ms. Barton?
Yes, I can show you what Cindy just described on the screen if you like, or if you'd rather do it another time.
What I would like is if you all could, put it together like a quick training or something to send it out. If that would, I mean, you can do it real quick. I mean, we're here, but I don't think that kind of takes away from the global community that needs to know what's happening.
Okay, so everyone knows when you go to pgcps.org, if you click on the board and then you go to the board homepage, you move down, and Cindy was talking about the 6 tiles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the tile she was referring to. You click on read more, and then these are all of the policies that you can click on to give public comment.
Question.
And it's here in
Ms. Barton,
Spanish. Go ahead.
Could you share your screen? Since this is recorded, could you share your screen and literally do the process? And then one of us, I can take up the task. I can literally create a training video as kind of like point and click, and it'll be like how to access the documents we're requesting. So I'll follow the exact same steps using the video from this. Create a small training, send it out.
Now.
So can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
So we can go back to the beginning. I'll just go all the way to the very tip top, pgcps.org.
Can I just say this? I'm excited that Mr. Suki is willing and available to do this, but this should absolutely be something that we should be able to provide for from our board office. I think we should take this offline. The request is simply to do exactly what you're doing, literally on a video. And I do appreciate us doing it tonight for just the board policy, but there's other things like navigating Diligent, how you get in. There's just random, we need to share our screen. Somebody in the board office, exactly what you're doing right now, walk it through. You can do it right on Zoom, let it hear you, and then put up a video of how we navigate Diligent. And that's something that we should take on. Mr. Suki, I totally appreciate your offering it, and maybe you can partner if there's a gap in. No, we should be able to do this. Cindy, do you agree that this is something we can do? We should be able to do this in 10 minutes.
In reference to the video guide for the policies, that I could do.
Perfect.
Regarding Diligent, it's a little tricky because Diligent, we're still learning Diligent ourselves. And we learned it by the self-paced videos that Diligent offers. So I could send those links out to have
what I'm suggesting is, we know that folks are struggling right now in order to use Diligent, and so are we. but we have learned a way to at least get in there to see our board documents, to be able to navigate it for our board meetings, and to be able to get to policies. And if those are the three key things that we can put on video because we are experts at least in that space, then I think that that's something that we can do that is relatable for a human to be able to say, hey guys, look at this. This is how you do X, Y, and Z, at least for us to get out. If we can commit to those three things, which I think you know really, really well, how you get on Diligent from PGCPS, how you navigate to get the board documents for a board meeting, and then how you get to the policies. If we could just do those three, I think that would be amazing for our general public. Because what I hear now is it's not only PCAC, it's us too, right? We struggling too, but we know those three things from the board perspective. So we could share that, and then we can share in the community. Ms. Denise, who might still be on, can share broadly. And now that she knows that there continues to be a gap, then that's something that she can really help us to do. I just don't think that this is something that the community should pick up when we have a board staff to be able to help us with this.
Yeah,
Are those three something that you feel comfortable doing a quick video on?
sure, we got you. We'll put it together.
Oh, thank you. And it doesn't have to be super professional. We're parents too. We just want to talk to somebody that can walk us through while they're doing it. I really appreciate you doing that. Thank you so much.
The three you ask is very simple to put together.
Perfect.
But as far as navigating Diligent, yeah, we all gonna have to be on that class.
Absolutely. But those three, I think, will
Got
help
you.
the big population now, and then we can figure out what the deeper ones are that we can come back with a version 2, 3, 4, and 5.
I
Thank
got
you
you.
so much.
I'll do a
I
record
just
screen and
jump-
you guys have it.
Thank you. And I want to just jump in and ask this, since Mr. Suki did, and I agree with everything Board Member Walker said, if that he has, from an advisory perspective, can provide some input from how he sees it from a parent perspective, right? That would be great. So he's offered himself, but absolutely, yes. You all take it, you all make it happen so all of us can be okay. But we're going to quickly move forward. We don't have anything else on 8100 or Diligent right now, do we?
Yeah, I have a few questions.
Okay.
First, that I think the training video thing would be that's a whole like rabbit hole. Having integrated into the site, having like translations, options, have words on the screen like welcome to this training video. We can go deep with that. But my biggest question is, what is Diligent? And if you guys paid so much money for it, why are they sending out reps to train y'all?
Yes.
Because I know it was a pretty penny. I know it was a pretty penny if you guys just switch systems.
Yes.
Is that
So
something
what
you're
is
looking for an
Diligent?
answer to right now, or are you telling us
Yeah.
that we need to optimize the system? I'm just trying to make sure that.
No, that was a question. What is the history of Diligent? I don't know what it is. I'm kind of walking into this bureaucracy
Okay.
kind of blind.
Would you like for me to answer that, Ms. Millhouse? Okay, great. So the history of Diligent is that we've been using a software, or I don't even know if it's not even software, a platform for communications for our board documents and our board meetings, and it was originally called Board Docs. And that then transitioned into what's called now Diligent, which is a platform that we moved from Board Docs to Diligent. So that is what Diligent is. And that's been communicated. So Diligent is a platform that holds board documents so that the public is able to get to that, to navigate it, and to know what the board documents are for our meetings, et cetera. That is what Diligent is. And that's online
pretty
now for PGCPS. That does explain it all. And that has been communicated for that one there. That is what Diligent is.
Okay. Well, I guess I have to take some training on as well. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Those links do exist right now. So anybody in the public, anybody watching tonight can literally go through a self-paced how to use Diligent. We can all do that today. Because of time, because of how it's done, because it is like their corporate training. What we're suggesting tonight is, hey, we know the corporate training exists, but these three things are imperatives just to get us going, because we knew how to do it on the old system. So can we have a person that we know and knows what we need go through and do a do-it-yourself video and make this happen? Why isn't Diligent doing it? Well, Diligent will say, yes, it is. We did do it. Matter of fact, click on this link and the whole world can see it. It's available. But what we're saying is, let's put that in a simplified form for what we know we used to have so that we could at least have that and get that out to the parents in the community. And to your point, there might be some optimization opportunities that might come easy to you, that you might, as you see these wonderful videos, when you have time, you might come on and say, you know what, I got this. I could do this in 5 minutes. And we'll be more than happy to be able to take that and push it out to the community on something that PCAC was able to do for us. But it's available now.
All right, appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. And thank you for whatever you're able to offer. We say yes to all things.
My last question on that would be can you provide the link for the training? I know you said you can find it online, but if you have like a bookmark anywhere, if not, I'll look for it.
I'll send it out, Mr. Suki. I'll send it.
Appreciate that.
Thank you so much. And no more questions on Diligent 8100. And I think that we can probably quickly breeze through 1500. The biggest thing about 1500 is the board meeting with us quarterly as the policy states they should. There probably are some other suggestions. Ms. Walker, you and I have had some discussions about it doesn't state that a parent needs to live in the district that they are representing. We just thought it was a written unknown because the board members live in the district that they serve. And so it's kind of challenging if the parent is not living in that district, then how are you really engaging with your district members? But does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns about 1500 other than the items that we've talked about over and over again that Board Member Walker is already working on handling and strongly encouraging the board to be in compliance with meeting with us as a whole council so we could hear what the concerns are, what they would like us to provide feedback on, advice, whatever it is that they need, but it's not just one voice that they're hearing. And we've also determined that doing or asking us to do quarterly presentations is not a requirement. And what are we presenting if we haven't even sat down and met with the board or the superintendent? So, any questions, comments?
I just wanted to see if there's any clarity. I didn't raise my hand. Did I cut anyone off? I apologize if I did. Okay. Just wanted to see if anyone can provide any clarity as to what the roadblock is as far as this policy being adhered to with the board meeting with PCAC quarterly.
I cannot. I cannot.
So what I can tell you is that, this is, over time, there's been continued transitions with a number of committees. One of them is PCAC. And let me just say leadership, let me not say PCAC. PCAC has always been a volunteer group who's here to do the work as parents and community members, so that we're very clear. Leadership on the Board of Education has changed. I think since I've been here, we've had 4 chairs since I've been here since December of 2022. With each chair comes priorities when it comes to parental engagement. And there's been different stumbling blocks along the way between each one. I can talk to my specific term when I was the chair for 6 months. And in that term, when I was the chair, what was really important is to ensure that we had processes and systems in place that we could adhere to. And that was the focus within those 6 months. So as we stand of where we are right now, our chair was out of the country. He's back now. And the reality is we need to adhere to it. And I don't have an excuse as to why it hasn't happened. I can tell you that as your liaison, I'm front, loud, and center about it happening. We have some board members on a call now, and we'll just continue to make sure that we bring this to the forefront of it happening. But I don't have a reason why it hasn't happened. What I can tell you is that in the policy itself, it says that we need to meet I think it says no less than quarterly or something to that effect. I don't have it up right now.
Mhm.
But it lends us to believe, yes, that every quarter we need to be meeting with you all. And so because there, in my estimation, is some gray area inside of there, there's some thoughts that, hey, you all come to this PCAC meeting and that will satisfy, or there's some thoughts, you all come to a board meeting and then that'll satisfy it in a time frame where you can do a presentation, or let's make a separate meeting where we all come together. So those are only 3 of the potential possibilities of what a quarterly meeting could look like. I believe as we look at this policy again, we have the opportunity to now go in and make that a structured approach so that it's not an option on how it happens. It's an option on it is happening, but we won't get caught up in how is it happening, so much so that we don't have a meeting. So in my estimation, there's always something to talk about from PCAP. Like you all are so tapped into the community that on here, I swear I can make a list between 5 and 10 things that need to be brought to the forefront. I recognize that there's an ongoing, like you all have to vote on what it is that you bring, right? So it's always feeling like there's the chicken and the egg. To me, we need to make this policy where it doesn't have the ability to do that. This is what needs to happen in the manner that it needs to happen, get it on a docket. We have some things in writing where we have January, I'm making it up, December, first quarter is going to be this month, second quarter is going to be this month, third quarter is going to be this month, fourth quarter is going to be this month. It can be that granular while still being strategic. And in my estimation, that's what it should be. I would love to be able to hear from PCAP to say, hey, this is what we would like for it to be. So it will be black and white. But minus that, because there hasn't been that structure yet, I, as the board member liaison, and probably some other board members are going to look at it and talk about it in whatever public comment comes in and formulate it in a way that we don't have the chicken and egg. So that's Lolita's perspective on what's happening right now, but I want to alleviate that gray space. I want it to be clear on not where, but the quarters that we're meeting, like when we're meeting, and then how the meeting is going to take place. So there's not any kind of back and forth on what that looks like. We need the content, and we're missing the content because in Lolita's estimation, we are worried about the how.
And I want to jump in, and Ms. Welsh, you know, as the I guess gatekeeper of the document, you know, I mean, it states that we're supposed to meet with the superintendent and the board at the beginning of the school year, and then at a minimum quarterly. And Board Member Walker, I hear you saying and mentioning the how, and there's some gray area. I'm not sure, you know, whose perception is, you know, for the gray piece, but when it says in black and white, the meeting is the meeting, right? And so when we present, if someone is presenting, you're not meeting or engaging with the entire council, you're meeting with the individual who's presenting, right? Like I presented before in the beginning, and it's not really a dialogue of all of these beautiful minds on here to get that engaging conversation where the board is saying, hey, these are some of the things that we're thinking about, the goals going into the school year. So we're then in these monthly meetings and we're just like, okay, well, what are we going to grab to talk about this month, right? And so
I agree with you actually on that. I
yeah,
agree with you.
so it is the you know, and I'm not more so on the why hasn't it happened, right? Because you can go down the rabbit hole. The reality is the board is responsible to follow their policies. It doesn't matter who's sitting in the seat. I do want to commend you and thank you that you have been a constant, even before being the liaison, that you have showed up when we were having meetings and you were the sole, you know, representative that came. The concern is if the board, which is a self-governing group, is not following their own policies, then who do we report non-compliance to, right? And so we want to get to the point that if we are talking about parental engagement, community engagement, then all it says is that, hey, from an advisory perspective, meet with the people on a quarterly basis, you know, we talk about the goals at the beginning of the school year. So then this group knows, like it already has a focus of what it's doing. And so it's more not about the why for me. It's like what you said. Let's do it. Let's just do it. It's not hard. Let's just do it. Let's pick a date. Let's come together. And we've already missed some quarters. And so let's just, you know, find a date and just meet. And all these minds can talk about, you know, their perspective on what the board is looking at from where we sit and the goals. And so, Ms. Smith, your hand is up.
Yes, so you had asked, was there anything additional that we had not already mentioned as it relates to the policy? So I just wanted to put out there that PCAC is also still waiting to know what this will look like as it relates to meeting with the superintendent. I know that we had one meeting with the interim and the chief of staff, and there have not been any subsequent meetings since then. So I think that's another component to this that is still unaddressed.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Okay,
Um,
I'll take that.
any other comments? And so to close out, I think the biggest thing that kind of resonated was communication and how we are engaging in closing gaps. We have a lot of ideas, a lot of questions that are still floating out there. But what I'm hearing is that we are all definitely committed to work collectively to move things forward, to identify how we make sure that the community has the information that they need so they can be involved. We're helping them build capacity to stay engaged, connected, and to really support the student and where they are, but also be a true partner with the school system, especially the teachers. And so I want to close on that. If unless someone else wants to add a last and final word, I would like Miss Walker, but after Miss Walker speaks, I'll take one more because I want you all to go to your families because I want to go to mine. And I made it through this meeting. I'm at 75%, but I'm here.
Listen, I just want to tell you guys, I know sometimes the conversations feel hard and that you all might not be moving as quickly or as diligently as you want, or the board might be, you might feel as though the board might have barriers up. I want you to know that honestly, you all are appreciated. When we go through that list and choose our parent liaisons, we don't take it for granted. The work that you all do and the partnership that you all bring. I am a parent. We have a number of parents that sit on our board, and to even sit on a PTA, let alone sit at a district level in order to affect change is a big deal. So we know that, you know, you all are parents, you all are community members, you all want what's best for our scholars. And I hope that you all walk away. I don't know if we need to do an affirmation tonight or something, but I hope that everybody walks away knowing that seriously, you are appreciated. These might feel tough, but at the end of the day, we're all working toward the same goal. And the goal is to ensure that we can hear the parent voice, we can hear the community voice, and that we're coming together as a collective to hear the advisement that you all have for us. If we had it ourselves, we wouldn't need an advisory committee. And I know I'm frustrated, so I know you all are frustrated at the fact that this meeting hasn't happened. I'm really clear on how I think it should be had. I think I actually am aligned with Ms. Millhouse on how she did state what this meeting looks like. I think it just needs to be outlined in a policy, and I aim to do that and bring that up for recommendation as we look at policy 1500 coming up. And I do hope that you all will have or have someone on your PTAs and PTOs or you all, if available, to do public comment, because this is something that I think really should be very clear as we move forward to get you guys advisement. So look alive, we're doing work, and we do appreciate you all. Thanks.
Thank you. And on that note, I'm actually going to close the floor for any other discussion, and I am going to move to adjourn this meeting at 9:25 p.m. Can I get a motion from the floor, please? Quickly, anybody?
Is that when we have to just say yay or nay, or?
No, just.
No, let's move. I move that we close this meeting at 9:25 p.m.
And now you can say.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's the second. And thank you all. Have a great night.
You too. Have a great night, everyone.
Have a great one, everyone. Appreciate y'all.
Bye-bye.